My name is Mazzy, and I'm a bootlegger. 1974, when I was in the radio, television, broadcasting, communication arts department at San Francisco State University, I went to a concert at the Cow Palace to see the George Harrison Dark Horse Tour. I brought in a small tape recorder, ran the microphone up my shirt, out of my pocket, and recorded that tour on a cassette. I had that tape for years. I have it somewhere, I can't find it. Unfortunately, that's when George's voice was shot on that Dark Horse, H-O-A-R-S-E in a way, tour. But I loved having that tape in 74, excuse me. I retired my bootlegging career after that, but that was it. And that's the extent of my personal bootlegging. This is a thread response and reply to Paul, one of my favorite gentlemen in the vinyl community, who makes these elaborate, wonderfully produced videos. He did a video. His channel name is BarakaPDub. I'm sure you all know it, but if you don't, you should look into his earlier videos as well. But he did a video on sort of a primer on bootleg records, bootleg recordings, everything from going way back in time. You know, it's basically he's teaching you. This is a master class in bootlegging, but a nice sort of a short overview. I think mine's going to be longer just because I'm going to show more records, but check that out. It's great. And he asked if you, what's your opinion on bootlegs? Do you have any? Showcase them. I only have bootlegs by Bob Dylan and the Beatles, including some solo things. I have a ton, so I'm going to go through really fast. And I did not pull all of them. Flashback to 1970. February 1970, January 1970, or February 1970. I was in my confirmation class, and we flew to LA to hook up with a confirmation class of the Beverly Wilshire Synagogue, I think it was, a Wilshire big temple down there. So it was like two Jewish youth groups, and they came up to San Francisco one weekend. We went down to LA one weekend. Remember, we're 15, 16-year-olds that year. I remember the evening we all had dinner at some spaghetti type joint with a bunch of sawdust on the floor, I believe just off of Hollywood Boulevard or on Hollywood Boulevard. And we walked around Hollywood Boulevard, which was great being, 15-and-a-half-year-old kids walking down Hollywood Boulevard in 1970. There was a record store, and they had a marquee in front, and I wish to this day I remembered the record store, and I didn't have time to go into it. I was across the street, but on the marquee, it said, "Now in stock, the Beatles, get back." So, as Paul wrote or discussed in his video, the first one in terms of, we're talking about rock and roll and pop records, so we're not going to go back to the history or jazz or anything else. Great White Wonder, Bob Dylan. First one, a lot of the stuff that were known as the basement tapes. I don't have an original, but I have versions that came out. And as he said, Trademark of Quality was the one that first put it out. So this is the version I got. I would say it's about a year, maybe less than a year, but there were so many different variations. This is a double record set. And that's it. Now, I just found this. I went through, this is my handwriting in 1970. I went through and basically interview If I Had Wings. Anyway, Great White Wonder, Bob Dylan, Trademark of Quality. Paul goes into the labels, Trademark of Quality, exactly kind of what happened. So I'm not going to get into history. He talks more about the history. So my Dylan records, Great White Wonder, GWW, While the Establishment Burns. It became sort of a trademark in quality, actually, a trademark of quality with the pig logo, but GWW became sort of a branding of various Dylan records right away. So anything they would do to put the GWW on records. And again, sometimes they were as simple as that. No label. No dead wax, no label, really. I mean, there actually is something in the dead wax. I can't read some number. But there you go. Great White Wonder, GWW, John Birch Society Blues. And then they kind of got a little elaborate with Xeroxed $8 I spent on this one. Live at the Royal Albert Hall. Now, a lot of the ones you see with the Beatles and Dylan, a lot of them are the same friggin' music, just kind of reworked and various levels of quality, good and bad. So I'm not going to talk about every one, but just wanted to give you a little idea. The Royal Albert Hall album, 1966. Obviously, with the Dylan-owned bootleg series that he's put out in the last 15 years or so, 20 years, it sort of made these obsolete. They're still fun to have. I rarely play these. I also have tons, literally tons of files. So if I really want to play it, I'd probably put on a file. But these are so fun. I suppose they're still collectible. I don't really follow them. Zimmerman. This is Royal Albert Hall concert as well. Now this is a cool set. This is a Rolling Thunder Review. So this is the 1976 tour, which I saw in Austin actually. Rolling Thunder Review, which actually just came out, was it last year, on the official bootleg series of Bob Dylan. And then this, there were elaborate box sets. St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a box set, Bob Dylan, GWW again. So it's got the Great White Wonder trademark equality logo. And this is the Inglewood, California Fabulous Forum. So again, branding Dylan under GWW. This is the 74 tour he did with the band. And it has, just like Paul showed, this one has a little more elaborate label. And it has the complete catalog of Bob Dylan available on Trademark Equality Records. So this is their catalog. Limited edition number 1397. And I have no idea out of how many. So let's talk about the Beatles. For some reason, I can't find the exact first Get Back album with the rubber stamp. It might be misfiled. I have different variations of that. If you know the whole story, Let It Be, Get Back. The album was ready to go. They were going to put, well, close to ready to go. Glenn Johns had mixed it. It was going to be put out under the name Get Back. And they had a cover shot and everything. And then it was pulled, and eventually Lennon gave the tapes to Phil Spector. And it was turned into Let It Be. So it was, it was shelved. They were just having a rough time in the studio and bickering somewhat. We'll see when the revisionist version of Get Back, Let It Be comes out next year. But eventually Let It Be came out, mixed by Phil Spector, and the film and then everything else, historically. Now, I'm not going in any order here, but to me, this is the ultimate bootleg of Get Back. This was issued many, many years later. This is issued maybe even into the 90s, 80s or 90s, and some nerdy bootleg wonk will correct me and tell me. So it comes in this envelope as if you got it as a promo for Apple Records, hand-stamped, Abbey Road Station, July 1969. This one was the promo copy, or the copy sent to Jackie Lomax. If you know Jackie Lomax, he was one of the artists signed to Apple, and it says, "The Beatles as nature intended." Now look at this. This, in a way, puts Apple Records, Capitol Records, EMI to shame when this came out. Now they're kind of doing it right, but I still think when they do this anniversary, they should do a version like this next year. Look at this. Get Back. This is the photograph recreating the Please Please Me cover that was taken for this. Look just like the original. This one has the Apple logo, but it looks like sort of the EMI type face and everything. You pull out the record. It comes with a poster. I think I'll just sleep here for a while. And it comes with a press release, memorandum, an exclusive new album report by Mal Evans. Mal Evans was their road manager, assistant. And then, of course, in this case, the label, unfortunately, is not, doesn't really go with the quality of the rest of the collection here. It has a Century City Avenue of the Stars address, which I wonder what that is. But anyway, the ultimate. Now, Get Back was the most bootlegged of the Beatles stuff initially because once those tapes got out, remember, all the recording was done for a film. So when they were in Twickenham Studios, all the tapes were from Nagras. Nagras is a tape recorder with the sync beeps. That's why in a lot of those bootlegs you hear the beep every once in a while. It's the sync beeps they use to sync up the motion from the film they have with the audio. This is an elaborate collection that came out years later too. This is the Get Back Journals box set. And this, in theory, has everything from the Nagra tapes. I don't recall if it's everything, but let me just quickly show you. There's a slipcase and two separate blank boxes. And inside, all these recordings, trademark of quality. So it actually ends up with the final Get Back album as intended. So again, Get Back, there's so many different variations in bootlegs. And, you know, the first Great White Wonder and Get Back had that white empty cover, just hand stamped, but then they ended up using some color variations of album covers. One of the more famous of the early bootlegs too is Yellow Matter Custard, and this was one of outtakes. Now, when I was getting these when I was 16, 17, I would go through it and I wanted to write my track list. You know, as collectability goes, does that wreck it? I don't know. I didn't really care. So I went through, this is the track list, my handwriting from probably 71 or 70, 71. Kind of great step. This is official Maslow branded edition too. And then I'm just going to go through these really fast. They started putting printed out Xerox type covers on some of them. This is from the soundtrack of Let It Be. And again, this is one I went through and wrote every track list. A lot of these aren't visually stimulating or exciting, so I'll just go pretty quick on the rest. The Get Back session, more Get Back sessions. So these were selling for about $6. Now, this is from the used record shop. The record store that I ended up managing and worked at on Irving Street in San Francisco by Golden Gate Park was in an old Bank of America building down in the basement. We used for some storage, but there was an old vault there, so we'd go down in the vault occasionally and get stoned. Come upstairs, work. On the balcony, you'd go up, there'd be like a mezzanine. So you'd come in the front door, you'd walk straight into our record store, record factory, go up the stairs, and in a balcony on all the right side where, you know, you would probably have offices when it was a bank. Open, the mezzanine open to downstairs. So that was called the used record shop. A separate vendor rented that out from us and they sold used records. So we didn't have any intermingling. So legitimate stores couldn't really sell bootlegs in those days because the major labels didn't like it, and you didn't want to fuck with Capitol Records for Beatles or Columbia Records for Dylan and so on and so forth. I don't have any Led Zeppelin. They were sort of the next band that, you know, really people got on the bandwagon of bootlegging. I think I had one at one point, but I just never jumped into that because as Paul said, and as many of you know, they're very, very quality a record. Sometimes you want it because you can't get that performance anywhere. It's like an old jazz record. You want the performance. That's what's important. We're not talking audiophile recordings here. So that used record shop sold sealed bootlegs. Now, of course, they didn't call them bootlegs. A lot of times, especially later, as you see, bootlegs were meant to look like imports to get away for it. You know, gray market. There's no such thing as a gray market. They're fucking illegal bootlegs. So I remember about once a month, this guy would come in. I can still picture him to this day, kind of, you know, bushy hair, kind of longish. He'd come in, he'd be like the sales rep for all these bootleg companies, or most of them, trademark quality. He'd bring in boxes of records and it'd supply the stores. So we'd go upstairs and we'd grab what we wanted every month or so and it would replenish stock, some stuff that you couldn't get again. So if you wanted it, you really had to jump on it. And the next time it came out, it might be totally different cover and stamp and, you know, basically to the, so different that you kind of buy it again, not knowing that you already brought the friggin' record, you know, 3 months earlier. So that was a vivid memory of me getting these bootleg records. So again, the major chains and the maybe independent stores, but most retailers of new record stores did not sell bootlegs. They were places that had used records. Now, obviously, your mileage may vary. Now, here are some more. This is, it's called AB single acetate. I don't even remember what this is. The Beatles 30 nostalgia hits. Why do I keep shrink wrap on here? I think just to hold the covers on. Double record set, twist and shout, you can't do that. This is on Wizardo. Wizardo, another bootleg label. You know, who knows how many there were. I'm not an expert on bootleggers. Again, another one that was $6 at the used record shop. So that's really about, you know, records were about $5, $6 in. So they weren't any more than a normal record, I think. More get back sessions, colored vinyl light. And this is a collector's edition. So much of a collector's edition, there's no friggin' label. It's like a deep groove too. I'm amused. Now, this is probably considered, well, first of all, there's a couple more before that. Bye Bye Super Tracks. It's kind of a flimsy cover. To be honest with you, I don't read. It's like a high school Peachy. Remember Peachies? Bootlegging, even Richard Avedon, the photographer. Now, this was considered sort of a branding and a popular one called Sweet Apple Tracks, T-R-A-X. Sweet Apple Tracks, again, a lot of it was more get back stuff. But these are 2 volumes, volume 1 and 2. I can't remember who put these out. Instant Analysis, so a whole different, this isn't trademark quality. Again, as these, you know, tapes were getting out, as Paul said, there were bootleggers bootlegging bootlegs. So, you know, you'd get 3rd generation, then 4th generation, then 5th generation, then like 7th generation removed from a cousin on your mother's side of an aunt that died when she was in childbirth or something. All that kind of stuff. So, going really fast now. Pretty elaborate cover, laminated cover, Beatles Sessions. This is good because this has a lot of the studio stuff that would eventually become on some of the rarities sets, like Come and Get It, McCartney's version of the song he wrote for Badfinger, his demo version. Leave My Kitten Alone, that the Beatles recorded but didn't put out originally until the anthology series in 1995. Not Guilty, of course, that the Beatles wouldn't let Harrison put on the White Album, and he put on his solo album later. I'm Looking Through You, different version. What's the New Mary Jane? Besame Mucho, you know. So, Christmas Time Is Here Again from the Christmas tapes, from the Christmas singles. So, there you go. Another version of Let It Be. Look at, you know, I buy these things for the covers too. Kind of a little more elaborate, but not so much. Soldier of Love, I would tape these on. I'm not sure that's, you know, we're not talking about collectability. I wasn't thinking about these. And all this is Soldier of Love, Sentimental Journey on Ed Sullivan Show, I'll Be on My Way. Who is that? I don't know who that is. Maybe it's Ringo? Murray the K Fan Club tracks. Rare Beatles. The Beatles' last live show. So obviously this is Candlestick Park, San Francisco, 1966, August 29th. Get Back Again, Get Back to Toronto. Now, there are a lot of live things that happened in certain tapes. Look at this. Look at that artwork. Again, these are all, most of these are from the 70s. John, George, Paul, and the rest of the group. Look how Ringo doesn't get a fair shake here. Paris, 1965. I love that. John, George, Paul, and the rest of the group. That's hysterical. This one's only $3.49. Such a deal. This is Big Goof Records. Framingham, Massachusetts. Yeah, right. Black vinyl. Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. Now, this is me. Some of these that I didn't have, oh, okay. They had slip covers here, but I had no shrink rack on it. I suppose I should start putting these in sleeves. I never put my bootlegs in sleeves yet. You know, the plastic sleeves. For some reason, I felt I didn't want to waste it, but I guess I did. This is probably fingerprints of the bootlegger. So if there are any FBI vinyl community members out there, we could probably do a little DNA swap thing and check out the fingerprints. And I watch CSI. I know how this shit works. Get Back to Toronto. Now more elaborate again. Oh, it's in a sleeve. This is a double record. Beatles, Vancouver, 1964. John, Paul, George, and Stu. Now, what would this be? Liverpool, May 1960. I don't remember what this is. Not the Cavern. It had to be the Cavern, but anyway, read later. Beatles at Shea Stadium, 1964, including 3 never published songs. Another Shea Stadium. The Beatles Cavern Club. So, there's that. Now I'm going to just do some real special series. I'm not going to do solos today. Maybe I'll do another video on that, because I did do an earlier video on bootlegs, so I don't want to go on too long. But bootlegs, around the early CD period in the 80s, got very elaborate with their packages. So here are a few things. Look at these. And I'm going to end with sort of 2 series right here. Ultra Rare Tracks was also, as I said, was a very popular series, branding in a way. This is one version of it. Ultra Rare Tracks, Volume 1 and 2, The Beatles. Toronto, Canada, Stash Records, if you believe that. I don't think a bootleg company is going to list their actual address. Those of you in Toronto, is there a Yonge Street? Y-O-N-G-E. 8500 Yonge Street, Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Ultra Rare Tracks, Volume 3 and 4. Also from Toronto. Oh, 1988. This is Swingin' Pigs Records. So, even into the 80s, once CDs were just starting to come out. There you go on that. So, cool stuff. And Ultra Rare Tracks, Volume 5 and 6. Now, this is interesting, and I have a great CD bootleg. One of my favorite CD bootlegs. I'm not going to show CDs here, but there's a great CD bootleg I recommend recording for any of you. Paul, I think you might be interested in this too. Any of you Beatle fans, if you don't have, maybe you have it on digital. There's in fact, we got bootlegged. A photograph that I took for our book, The Beatles England, that's on the postcard. If you remember the postcard I showed, the Strawberry Fields. I'm not going to grab it now, but they took that and used it on the cover of a bootleg. So I was bootlegged. David and I, my co-author, was bootlegged for a cover of a bootleg CD on Strawberry Fields. This has a lot of it. This has takes 1 to take 26, but not every single take. But that CD has the entire evolution of the song Strawberry Fields, from John's just acoustic guitar playing when he was in Spain making the film How I Won the War, to as the song progressed, till it got into the studio, to it evolved, the speed changes. And if you know about the final version of that, George Martin did some, studio magic, because John wanted 2 different sections. I like take this, the beginning of this take and the end of that take, and George Martin says, that's fine, John, except, first of all, they're in different keys and different tempos. And John says, fix it, and I'm going away for a holiday or the weekend or whatever. George Martin friggin' fixed it. That's why when you listen to the song, you'll listen, sometimes his voice sounds faster, sometimes it's slower, let me take you down. Sometimes there's that, but it just friggin' works, and it fits the psychedelia of that song, and it's all merged together wonderfully, in my opinion. To me, it's one of the greatest recorded records, in terms of not just a great song, but a great record ever, even by the Beatles. So find that CD or find a tape, or send me $19.99. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, there you go. Now, last thing I'm going to close out with, with these, just because Beatles at the BBC. Now, officially, finally, they issued 2 different volumes. Each one was I think on vinyl, 3-record set. So there's 6 LPs, as I recall. Anyway, the 2 volumes of Beatles at the BBC. But to this day, they have not officially released everything. So this is pretty much everything. Beatles at the Beeb. The Beeb was a nickname for the BBC. And there are 13 volumes. Look at these packages. Volume 8. Just a great series. Now, this is something that's, to me, very collectible, and I don't know how much these are worth, and as much as I think I'm halfway with my collection of Discogs, I haven't even tackled my Beatle collection yet. So that's going to be a bit of a shit show with all the different pressings and matrix numbers. I don't know how I'm going to get through that. I may need Paul to come over and help me, and the archivist. And anyway, Beatles the Beeb. You get that? Isn't that funny? I think it's hysterical if you know what I'm talking about, that logo, how they fit that in. Volume 13. So this is a special bonus Enemy Paul Winner's concert, 1964, 1965. So those are my Beatle and Bob Dylan bootlegs. Now, the link below is for BarakaPDub, Paul's bootleg video. I'm sure you subscribe to him. He's got a lot of great subscribers and followers that follow his channel. Sometimes he does great how to set up your turntable, how to align it. He talks about audiophile records, jazz, rock and roll, disco dancing stuff. He's a real dancer, that Sputnik friend of mine in Houston. But he also has done amazing things on matrix numbers and how to identify different pressings. So thank you, Paul, for shaking me up to do this bootleg response. I'm sorry that I went on twice as long as you did it, I think. But Mazzy loves you, and I love this stuff. So let's all see your bootlegs. Respond to Paul. Go watch that and respond and show us your bootlegs. Mazzy loves you. Don't call the FBI. You know, like in all those Marvel movies, after the credits, there's like this extra bit of a little teaser for the next one. I found some more bootlegs. Long story. My records are organized, but they were behind, fronted, some other Beatle crap. This is my original copy of Get Back. Now, Remember, I'm 15 years old, 1970, January 1970, when I get this thing. So I make my own cover artwork, which is unfortunate because if you look under here, you can see the original rubber stamp is behind it. So I decided to do my own sort of calligraphy to make a cover. Plus, I added the track list, and look at this. A real underground album. I mean, remember, this was a new thing. Getting unreleased music by the friggin' Beatles or Dylan, and that was pretty much it, you know, in 1970, was amazing. I mean, you can't even imagine now. Now it's like you get an extra track, you download it, you go on the web, you search, you find everything. This was a big friggin' deal. But I did give them a little publishing credit. And this is a different version. There might have been, you know, this is not a trademark of quality. This is whatever. So I'm not quite sure. But I did get this in 1970. So I don't know the historical significance. And again, you bootleg people will do it. I'm going to really go. And anyway, here's the other stack I'm going to go through really quickly. 62 to 69, 20 never published songs. The Beatles Rough Notes, Dark Horse, Rock Island Line, Wildlife. So this mixes some solo stuff as well with some Beatles stuff. The Decagon sessions. This is the Deca sessions, one version. The Deca sessions have been bootlegged so many times in various configurations. This is sort of White Album stuff. Well, no, this is, I guess, How Do You Do It? Blackbird, Unicorn, Helena, Heather. So it's stuff after Esher, after India. So White Album, Octopus's Garden, Pre-Abbey Road. Again, more, you know, Get Back related stuff. Now this is fun. What a Pain, Mary Jane Had a Plane, and the Party didn't come out officially until the anthology series. But can I show this on television? Now I got to click the not for kids box. I mean, this is what Beatle albums were not like in the 1970s. Well, actually, this bootleg, you know. What a shame Mary Jane had a pain at the party. If you don't know that, you should listen to it. It's kind of like a drug-fueled Beatles extravaganza of John Lennon. Another kind of infamous bootleg studio outtakes recorded again during the Let It Be Get Back sessions. This is Beatles Studio, Watching Rainbows, kind of a nice cover shot from the Mad Day Out photo shoot. That's a whole other story. If you don't know it, Google it. Now this is cool. This says promotional use. EMI Records. It looks real, and I can't remember the story on this one because it really looks really real. That's what it's supposed to. It says 1979. Help me out here. I got to look this. I used to know all this stuff by heart, and I don't know it anymore. This Boy, Oh My Love and Thank You Girl. So this it's kind of like the Rarities record that was put out in America, and then finally Rarities with the blue box set around that time. Penny Lane, Baby Rich Man. So there's slightly different takes, different versions, or different mix things. I don't remember the details. Of course, you can't talk about the Beatles without talking about the Beatles Black Album, embossed. More Get Back stuff. So how many times can we repackage the Beatles? And this is pretty cool, right? And even a bootleg poster. Look at this. And it's got all these interviews, transcriptions of talking inside, printed on the back of the poster. And this is kind of a cool one, as I recall. Look at this is a famous photograph from the cover of National Lampoon. If you don't buy this magazine, we'll shoot this dog. If you don't know that humor, it was very controversial when National Lampoon that came out on the cover. I think it's hysterical. What else is in here? Ooh, is there another? Oh, it's a 3-record set. Okay, 3-record set, so there you go. Beatles Dig It, 18 unreleased tracks. Twist and Shout, Little Beethoven, I don't remember which versions. Across the Universe, so it's a little potpourri again. Anytime to repackage, even bootleggers would repackage. The Beatles, Beautiful Dreamer. But again, this is the more elaborate covers in some ways that I did before. 5 Nights in the Juna Arena. This was a famous bootleg too. You should find the video of this. It's not officially available as I recall, but it's really great. It's a Tokyo concert in 1966 with the Beatles, and it's fabulous. The video is great. The performance is great because it was shot on video at the time. Is this a different version of it? Yeah. Oh, I've got it in color and in black and white. Lucky me. Thumbnail, maybe? Maybe not. We'll see. Oh, okay. In my earlier video, I talked about Strawberry Fields. This is the one to get. This is all the versions of Strawberry Fields Forever. And on the vinyl version, I forgot, we got bootlegged. That's the picture we took. David and I don't remember who took the picture. I think I took it, so I'm going to say I took it. That's from my postcard. So I got bootlegged here. This, oh, never mind. This is not that. This is, has Strawberry Fields, The Bus, Inner Light, Fool on the Hill. Okay, this is not the one. There is a CD with all those versions too. But Strawberry Fields Forever. I wish this was all the versions of Strawberry Fields, but that's only on compact disc, I guess. It's All Too Much, Peace of Mind. Again, what a shame Mary Jane had a pain in the party. So I am not the Beatleologist I was once. Many of you out there on other Beatle channels know much more than I do, or remember much more than I do, because I have a good memory, but those kind of things, you know, I remember all the girlfriend details. I don't remember all the Beatle details. Youngblood, early Beatles again, with Chuck Berry songs, Too Much Monkey Business, Sweet Little 16, Memphis, Sure to Fall, Carl Perkins. This is more early rock and roll stuff, which is kind of cool again. 20 by 4, I think, with the famous photographs by Robert Whittaker, who did the Butcher cover photo session, kind of surrealist photographer. That's what he wanted to do with the Beatles at the time. My Carnival, Heather, so some demo stuff that McCartney was working on. Acoustic outtake of Blackbird, different version of Things We Said Today, Oh Darlin', etc. So another one for the collection, The Beatles Live from Sam Houston Coliseum with an outtake, a Robert Whittaker outtake from the Butcher cover. Shea Stadium photograph, as I recall. So it has the afternoon concert and the evening concert. This is on Audiophone, so it sounds like a German label, right? Oh, it's got the, again, Don't Shoot the Dog, the Lampoon, National Lampoon photograph. Of course, sometimes they would go out of their way to make these look like European imports to sort of fool, I say that loosely, the FBI. Berkeley, California, Berkeley Records, Berkeley, London, back in '64 at the Hollywood Bowl, Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. Remember, the Hollywood Bowl didn't come out until the mid-'70s on vinyl for the first time. It was going to be a live album that George Martin set up to record, and there were some issues, and it was never put out during the Beatles when they were together as a live album, but it really was considered to be a real live album. And now this is a sealed copy, the main event, Elvis versus the Beatles. Who do you think is going to win in my house? Remember, there was that record on VJ Records, The Beatles versus the Four Seasons, so it's kind of set up like that, where you play each song and supposed to score them. I mean, I love Elvis stuff. And then lastly, the Beatles Talk Down Under. Did sit. The dingo took my baby. Don't let Maslow do accents. Anyway, thank you for watching again, and sorry I went on long. This is the extra track section of the video. Paul I love you, baby. Don't ever change. And everybody do some more bootleg things. Mazzy loves you.